Hello, and welcome to another news-filled episode of Bodied, a Cloud9 fan cast. I'm your host, Havokpus, and I'm joined by Frozencreek, my co-host, as always. How's it going?
It's going good. It's been really warm here, so I've been out golfing a few times, played some tennis, the usual. I also
Ooh,
started
nice.
watching Death Note, so it's been an exciting
Ooh.
week. So I think I'm 3/4 through it now.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
It's pretty
that's a
good.
good show.
I don't think it's great, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, it has a lot of twists. If you like twists.
Yeah, they're mildly predictable, but
Yeah.
still good.
Yeah,
I'm
I
expecting
haven't
there to
seen
be
it in a
more.
while. I need to watch it again.
Uh, uh, yeah, I'm expecting more to come in the future, but
Yeah.
I guess I don't
I've
want to
been
say too much and spoil it.
watching Sailor Moon mostly.
Oh yeah, still.
Yeah, I'm almost finished with the second season. I really just want to get to the third season because that's when they introduced Sailor Neptune and Sailor Uranus, and it's because it had that whole thing of, so when they shipped the series out to America, like 4Kids or whoever was like in charge of translating it and whatnot and editing it, they were like, oh no, these kids can't handle like two characters being lesbians, so they went for the obvious choice to just make them cousins, which that's a perfectly like easy way to fix things, right? You just have two characters that are romantically involved, just make them cousins. That's not weird or anything.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning that, which it is a weird way to go about it because I'm not romantically involved with any of my cousins
Good, as you shouldn't be.
that I know of, I guess.
Yeah, that you know of. I remember, actually, there was something. I think it was maybe. Oh, was it in Iceland? I think it might be in like Iceland or one of those like Nordic, cold, snowy countries. Like Scandinavian countries. Up there, and it's basically, I think it's Iceland, but there's actually an app that can tell you if you're related to someone or not, because I think that it actually started to become a problem where people were starting to date people who they were related to, and it's like, oh, you're actually my cousin somehow, and then it just gets really weird. So like everyone starts to like dating their cousins, and so they have an app, I think, that will like trace your lineage back to make sure that you're not related to anybody.
Yeah, not ideal to be in that situation.
Oh no! Like I can only imagine the terror and the panic that like goes through someone's eyes as they're like, "Yeah, I met this girl yesterday. She's super cool, super cute. We even kissed a little bit. It was pretty great." And then they're like, "Oh, you mean so and so?" Yeah. It's like, "Oh yeah, aren't you? Isn't she like your aunt's daughter or something?" And he's like, "What?" Or something to, probably not like aunt's daughter, but probably like, "Oh yeah, aren't you like?" So the joke really fell apart, but I can only imagine like the panic of like figuring out that you actually kissed your cousin.
Yeah, not ideal. But
No.
speaking about kissing cousins, I feel like we have a lot that happened this past week. So let's
Yeah,
kiss up
we had a
on that.
lot.
Oh, we
Yeah,
oh
let's.
we made some love with a World of Warcraft.
Oh, we did, and the team got the four-peat. This was their fourth AWC Cup that they played, and this was the fourth one that they actually won. So for this summer season, they actually won each individual one, placing in first, which is actually pretty incredible. I don't think it's ever been done before. So it was a really awesome statement for them to make, showing that they're still the best team in North America. Um, I don't think that there's going to be a BlizzCon this year or any sort of like world championship, really. But I think in place of that, they have this, I think it's like a circuit, some sort of tournament circuit that they've kind of cobbled together due to what's going on right now. And I think in a few weeks, they're going to be playing in that. So I'm really interested to see how they kind of go about through the whole circuit deal.
Or yeah, I feel like that's something they should do every year, just because it feels like there's a no competitive WoW matches, and if I was in their position, I don't think I would want to play that much a WoW arena with the same team comp 12 months a year
They
for
literally do
tournament.
it every single match, which is kind of the mind-numbing thing, right? They just do mage warlock and then a healer like 98% of the time. Like sometimes they'll do like sometimes I think earlier this season they did like fire mage and rogue, or they would do double monk and then warlock. But like for the overwhelming majority, they just play the same style with the same picks over and over again. And I cannot fathom. I think like Bruce Lee said it best, where he said that I don't fear the man that's practiced like 1,000 techniques once. I fear the man that's practiced one technique 1,000 times. And that's maybe why Cloud9 is so good. We practiced this one configuration so much that we know its matchups in and out so well.
Oh yeah, and it's worked. We got the 4P. We also won another tournament, didn't we? Or am
That was
I making things up?
last year. Last year we won like the North
Or
American.
no, like last week we won something that wasn't the tournament that we 4P'd it on.
No, I think it was.
Okay. Or no, because we beat Space Station.
The Space Station's part of the North American thingy that they were playing in.
Oh.
Yeah.
Or so what did we beat Golden Guardians in?
That was the same thing. That was the cup number 3. That was the one where we went to losers and then we had to kind of run back up through the bracket.
Okay, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because I just assumed they were different tournaments. But I guess that's beside the point. For those who know, they know, and I'm just an idiot. Which we already knew, so.
Yeah. But yeah, they crushed it. They're looking really strong. I'm really excited to see if they can see how far they can go. But moving on, we actually have some Teamfight Tactics news, which is extremely rare. But Crowan, who was one of our TFT players, he plays second in the Giant Slayer Series top 8 qualifiers. And so he's going to be going on to playing in, I guess, like the actual Giant Slayer Series event, or something like that. I'm not sure exactly how that setup is done, but he played it and he got second place, and he's on to play the I guess the final tournament or whatever it's called later.
Yeah, and that is fun to see. I didn't actually realize it was happening. I must have just missed the tweet. But
yeah, they tweeted it yesterday.
I will have to catch the Giant Slayer finals, or
it's apparently next week.
Okay.
So mark it on your calendar. But speaking of marking it on your calendar, in July, like early July, I believe, Cloud9 is actually hosting their own TFT event. I marked it on my phone. Let me pull it up because I have the actual date kind of pinned. Yeah, so July 8th, they are hosting their own TFT tournament. It's gonna have casters, the whole 9 yards. I think they're even before that. I think maybe having some like group stage or like qualifier stuff that they'll be streaming. So definitely mark that on your calendars and check it out. I'm really excited just to see it, just because I don't think we've really organized too many events like this before, and I really would like to see. With this whole COVID situation going, we're actually seeing a lot of esports orgs actually like organizing their own tournaments and own events for games. And I really hope that this trend kind of continues to where every few months, C9 just has like some sort of event and people can participate in.
Oh yeah, and I think it would be fun for everyone involved, because it keeps the community together and keeps them competing, and in having fun around the C9 brand too.
Oh yeah, like it's a win-win for everybody. Like you have, C9 promoting their brand and their players. People are participating and promoting the game. You have some prize money to incentivize people to play. It's all good. So I think that they should really, C9 and other organizations should really do a lot of this, a lot more.
Yeah. So we have some other news
Yeah.
around CS:GO.
Yeah. So they were participating in the DreamHack Masters Spring Series. They were in the lower bracket and they played against MIBR and they won, but then they had to go up against Liquid, and then Team Liquid kind of crushed us. But we got 4th overall in the event, which I think is pretty good, especially considering our team is still, around that like high tier 2 level of play. So I think that 4th place is pretty good for them overall, I think. I know some people were kind of disappointed that Team Liquid beat us.
As we should be. But I actually didn't get a chance to watch this, so I don't have much to say.
I watched us play MIBR, and Floppy was just hitting those crazy shots. Like Floppy and Modem, they're insane, and I really like that they can just like consistently produce these like Reddit highlight reel moments and just kill people and get these crazy shots and everything. It's incredibly fun to watch, and it makes watching C9 really fun because it's like, oh, what are they going to do this time? And then they pull off some insane like sniper shot or something.
Oh yeah, and if they're on it, they're really on. But I think once they play more and develop some consistency, I think it's going to be a lot more exciting to watch and see them grow and compete. Because
yeah, I'm hoping the same.
Yeah, because they are a highlight reel, but obviously that comes with a bunch of downturns too. Because
yeah, it definitely makes them kind of less organized. I feel because they're always wanting to kind of like fight and whatnot instead of maybe play a bit more patient, which is what I really like to do. But when their aggressive plays work out and when their plays usually work out, it's really fun to watch them.
Oh, 100%, and especially one that they're making a really big comebacks too. Way more fun that way, as opposed to dropping those big comebacks.
Yeah, for sure. When we choke those leads, it's really disheartening.
Very rough.
Yeah, but hopefully, I'm not sure when they play next or what they play in, but I'm hoping they can get similar results or maybe even better results. And so we also have some Valorant news. Tens and Friends placed second in the Immortals First Light Valorant tournament. It was just Tens and his usual gang. It was him, Relics, Mitch, Shinobi, but instead of Infinite, Vice was playing. And we were talking in the C9 Discord about it as the matches were kind of going on. We were kind of discussing why Infinite wasn't playing. Some said that he was maybe going back to CS:GO. I'm not really sure. Maybe they were trying out someone else. Maybe he just wasn't available. But regardless, it was really interesting to watch because our first match was up against Mixup, and we actually almost lost against them when we won 2-1 in this extremely like close game. I'm not sure if you watched it, but it was really close.
I know I didn't. I actually tried watching one of the games, and I might have been in bed, but it was kind of boring.
Yeah,
Sorry.
So we played Mix Up and we barely won like 2-1. And then we went on to play Genji, which they didn't stream, by the way. And it was one thing that I had an issue with an Immortals streaming it was that So when they went on to the semifinals, they streamed TSM versus Immortals, which was TSM really stomped it. But so they had that game going on, and then no one else was kind of like they used a site to like kind of display the bracket and how the tournament was going. But if you clicked on the Cloud9 match, there was nothing that was updating like individual map scores. So you had no idea.
It wasn't live.
Yeah, you had no idea how like the game was going, which is really frustrating. And then when the TSM match ended, they couldn't get over to the Cloud9 game. Either because like they were having an issue spectating it, or they couldn't get in. There wasn't a spectator spot to get into. But for whatever reason, they couldn't stream that second match. So they were literally just like sitting there with like a countdown. Like it was like I think it was like a 15-minute countdown, and then it kind of started to get down, and then changed to a 30-minute countdown. And people were just kind of waiting, for either C9's game to wrap up or, them to move on to the finals. And then eventually it did, and then C9 played TSM, and we kind of got crushed. TSM's team is really, really good.
Yeah, I think I remember you or Skeleton saying that. So that's like
I think I was saying that.
Or
I can't remember.
Or is there's like an official team, or is it kind of like
there's an official team? It's not like ours where it's one player versus in a bunch of like retainers or like filler spots. There's a legit team. Wardle is pretty much just like Tens, where he has the most insane amount of carry potential, and he can just do these inhuman reaction shots and everything. Tens played really good. Like for our first match, he pretty much single-handedly carried us to victory, like having his team like kicking and screaming over the finish line, because there was a lot of moments where they just weren't playing really well. I don't know, the C9's been really patient with signing a roster because of how the game is. There's not ranked yet, and there's really not a big competitive scene yet. But Riot has released a statement saying that they're actively working on it. But I would say like if they had this team, it wouldn't really look that great. I think that if they're going to make signings, I'd say of course they're going to keep Tens, but I think keep Relics, maybe Mitch, but I think definitely look to fill like 2 or 3 other slots, because you really need people on the same, maybe not the same level, but close enough level to Tens to where they can carry their own weight instead of really relying on Tens to do a lot and try to carry the team by himself.
Yeah, I agree.
But other than that, it was really fun to watch. I'm really glad that we got to see some Valorant action, because it's always fun to watch, and watching Tens play is really great.
Yeah, I do need to check in on his stream sometime. I think I'd have more fun watching.
He streams super late. You're gonna have a rough time. Okay, you can probably watch like a stream VOD, but you can't watch him live because he streams. For my time, I don't think he goes live until like maybe 12 or 1 o'clock.
Oh, his time?
No, my time. So like his time, it's usually like 11 or 12.
Oh, okay. So all right, then never mind, because he's probably done by the time I wake up too.
Yeah, you'd have to just like watch like his stream highlight or whatever. But he's really good. He's really fun to watch. I highly recommend checking him out. Even if you're not like wanting to like learn anything, if you're just wanting to watch like a really good Valorant player.
Sweet. Yeah, I will have to sometime. At least follow him.
Yeah. But I guess moving on, we can talk about LCS stuff. I guess a quick Academy update for our opening weekend. We actually went 0-2.
They did not look hot.
No, I think they were kind of struggling since King wasn't there. And I think it was also the opening season. So I think a lot of the people, a lot of the teams weren't really sure like what would be good. Because, I think we played Graves once. And then I think we tried to do like a super pokey type comp, and that didn't work either.
Oh yeah, I didn't get to see the second game, but the first game was rough. The draft did not do them any favors at all, and they really put themselves at a huge disadvantage. I know I was talking about it in Discord, but there was like one big fight right before the first Baron, around 23 minutes maybe, and Diamond landed a hook on Zoe, and then it was like a full length hook, so he could like follow up and close the gap and everything. But as soon as the Graves, who was the AD?
Ours or the other person or the other team? Ours is Tomo.
Or I'm a champion.
Oh, I can't remember.
He was playing Cassiopeia, I think. So by
that's
the time,
right.
the Graves, Cassiopeia, and the mid laner.
Yeah, we had a
I
really short range
Havokpus
comp that game. I remember that, and it was kind of weird.
Or yeah, and by the time they could close the gap to do damage, they were just like chunked, huge health.
Yeah.
So it really fucked him over. So I wasn't too happy with that draft, but it seemed very cocky to me, and it seemed like they just expect to win. But hopefully the O2 beginnings and awakening. But anyway, it is still Academy, and it's more about learning the game than anything else.
Yeah, and they had a similar start last season or in the spring. You know, they had a rough start, and they managed to somehow run it back and become undefeated. I think eventually at some point, and then win the whole thing for Academy. But yeah, I think they maybe were just trying out a bunch of stuff. I know that they kind of went in two directions. They went with that weird short range kind of steamroller comp, and then they tried to do something like really poke heavy, and none actually really kind of worked. But I think they weren't maybe sure what was really strong, as well as what other teams are going to play or something. But I think that as the meta kind of settles, since the first week is kind of over with, we can see some better comps from them, I think.
Yeah, and they do have a decently tough week ahead of them again. They have Evil Geniuses on Thursday and Golden Guardians on Friday, so that should be interesting.
Yeah. But I guess pivoting to LCS, we actually just crushed it. Business as usual.
I will say I wasn't highly impressed with the first game, but I guess we were on a kind of a new composition in a way. We had the LeBlanc mid with the Olaf's not new, but it was LeBlanc mid, and what did Licorice play?
Licorice played.
It was something new-ish.
Did he?
He played Gameplay the second game.
He played Gameplay second game.
He played.
He played Jace. That was it.
Jace, yeah, and I've never been a fan of
He had
Jace.
like a Stormtrooper cosplay moment where he kept missing every single shock blast almost.
Yeah, I've never been a huge fan of his Jace. I think it might have been him. One of his first games on stage, I remember calling someone out. There is a chance it could have been Kumo, but I think it was
it might have been Kumo, because Kumo did play Jace a bunch.
I think it was Licorice, because we lost the game against like TSM or something. This was like 2 years ago, and he played a garbage Jace game. So I'm glad to see he's grown, because he did have a massive CS lead.
Yeah.
But I feel like that game could have gotten scary if we weren't so far ahead, because Corki Ezreal is good.
Yeah, so I think that for us in that game, even when we had that kind of nightmare scenario of like, a lot of us died in that spot early on. We managed to still manage the map and everything pretty well. I think C9 does a really good job of, before they take a fight or anything, or contest like an objective or something, they really make sure like, okay, we're the map and ourselves are in a position to where it's fine. And I think that, you know, after that fight they lost, you know, FlyQuest could have, you know, they could have potentially gone for that dragon, and they could have, you know, they could have taken some neutral objectives, but they ended up opting out and just kind of going back. So they really didn't gain much out of it. And C9 was able to kind of bounce back, and they got more kills and more neutral objectives, which I think is the important thing. And they were able to move around the map and manage the map really, really well, to where, you know, being at that kind of early deficit didn't really matter. And they ended up just winning off of superior teamwork and map control. And even in the fights, you know, I think the kill score was kind of close to being even or something, but I think in the kills, they, you know, they positioned the map how they wanted, and they usually went even in terms of kills. So there wasn't like a whole lot of gold on either side being like disproportionately like pushed one way or the other.
Oh yeah, and I think like the craziest part of the game was at 10 minutes we were down. Oh, excuse me. At 10 minutes we were down like 2,000 gold almost, and then by 15, we brought it back to plus 3,500. So that was a big swing, and we were able to do that by keeping the kills even, because they were 7-7 at 15 minutes.
Yeah, you can really like lose a few fights early on and really not be that hurting gold wise, just as long as you're not losing neutral objectives. Because, you know, if they're not taking towers and they're not taking a lot of turret plates, the gold's really not going to change that much. You'll be a little down, but, you know, if you farm really well, you can get that right back up, especially once you get a couple kills. So I usually don't panic if there's like an oops or two early on in the game. But once it's probably past like 10 minutes or so, 10, 12 minutes, and you start making more mistakes, that's probably when you should be worried.
I think against a better team, it would have been a bigger problem, but no one in North America can really punish us that well.
Yeah, Cloud9's
So
in a weird
I think
situation.
that is a big problem too.
It definitely is, and it's been talked to death about why is North America so bad, and all that. So it's definitely been said. But the 100 Thieves match was pretty much just an easy open and shut victory.
Yeah. Besides First Blood, we really just controlled the whole game.
Yeah, Stun was also making some really weird choices in terms of like how he pathed and stuff, to where he just kind of killed himself, and that was really odd to watch.
Yeah, and I don't know what he was doing, but honestly, it didn't really matter all that much. At 15 minutes, we were up almost 5,000 gold. So at that point, it was over.
Yeah, him and Meteos were having like, and I guess maybe less Ryoma, but him and Meteos for definitely having like really, really bad games that day. And so, it kind of transfers over to a discussion of why NA is so bad, and it's because of this very problem of like nepotism and signing people for name recognition rather than the results they've garnered through like the previous split and how they're going to perform onward. Because Minos has been playing for a while, and his ability to play in the jungle has kind of stair-stepped down slowly over time. And we've seen that with a bunch of other players who've been playing for a while who are in NA. And it's definitely a problem, and I think a lot of these orgs just don't realize that. And they're like, yeah, we'll sign Huni again. Fuck it, even though he didn't look that good, we'll play him, sure. Or what's going on with like Immortals roster and signing Ica, even though no one had ever really heard of him, or signing Soaz, who has been playing for so long.
Yeah, and I think there's better examples of that, especially Cody's son. Like, has he literally ever done anything besides been average? And the answer to
That's a
that is no.
that's a good question. Yeah.
So Cody Sun's a great example of that. Stunt's been in the league a while, I think, right?
He has been in league a while. It's in their roster, like Immortals roster. I think maybe to a lesser extent, maybe Dig's roster. It's just a lot of these orgs are signing players that like, well, we know this name, and they have like sort of a projection probably of like, well, here's his floor, here's his ceiling. We recognize that name. We can probably deal with him, but like there's a story of how Tactical even got into playing for Liquid, and it was next to impossible for him to actually get to where he is now, because like he's been playing, he's had multiple accounts like in the top 10 of the ladder, but for some reason he just wasn't getting recognized, and it took like almost an act of God or something for him to actually get picked to play for Team Liquid and then to start, and it's insane that players who are like having multiple accounts on the top of the ladder aren't getting picked up for Academy. Instead, it's like, oh, we'll just hire like Cody Sun or something. Or like before that, it was like Piglet. Piglet was the ADC that was constantly getting picked for to play, even though he was like long gone in terms of skill level.
Oh yeah, Piglet's a huge or was a huge problem with that, but he did phase out pretty quickly actually after the whole midlet thing that went absolutely poorly, which was
that was such
to be expected.
It was an odd decision. The weird thing was it kind of worked sometimes, which was the weird part.
Yeah, it really did. But I do feel bad for 100 Thieves because they did get stuck playing us and Evil Geniuses this week. And if I dare say, Kuma looks really, really, really good right now.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised and kind of excited to see that Kuma has actually picked up his play from when he started on Evil Geniuses, because I remember when he started, everyone was like, this guy's the worst top laner, out of all the top laners in North America, and everyone was saying that like, oh man, they're going to be a bottom team, and everyone was like, I think rightfully memeing, but as the roster kind of gelled together more, they were picking up more wins, and they look about as strong as they were last split. I'm really curious to see how we're going to play against Evil Geniuses. Our previous encounters with them, we've pretty much had their number every time we played against them, and we've never really had a big problem. But I'm curious with all the meta shifts and everything. Are we going to get another Olaf game from Blabber? Is 100 or not 100 Thieves, but is Evil Genius going to, are they going to do anything different? How are we going to react to their bans? They have a really different champion pool than, say, FlyQuest or 100 Thieves. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the team plays. But then we do have a softball match of Golden Guardians on Sunday. So that's kind of we in worst case, I think we should at least go 1-1.
Yeah, and Golden Guardians didn't look insanely good, but Demonte had a good first day, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Demonte did look good. That was kind of like him and Closer have this really great mid jungle synergy. And he seemed to really gel well with the rest of the team. I think that they still have some problems. I think even though like say like Closer and Demonte are going really well, but you're still having to play against FBI and Huhi in the bot lane. And then Hanser's in the top lane. So they have mid lane that might have an advantage versus our side lane, just individually with almost next to no jungle pressure, has advantages already. So I think that in that game, I think Closer's just going to have to work overtime to help the side lanes, which C9 usually likes to help out with roams from Niski.
Yeah, and I don't think that their bot lane stands much of a chance, but
no, FBI and Huhi are not impressive at all.
No, and that is somewhere that we will be able to punish them. Honestly, I don't think any other players are onto the same level as ours, and that one really should be a stop.
Yeah, I will say I do like at least Golden Guardian's kind of approach to their roster. You know, they brought in DeMonte, which was something everyone was begging for because he was one of the few actual NA talents that looked good instead of a lot of what we previously stated. You know, they have some veterans in Hanser and who he's kind of weird. It's still weird that he switched to support. I can't remember what
And has a roster spot.
I can't remember his reasoning for wanting to swap to support, but it's so weird that he switched to support and is the starter over Olay, who is in there, who like it's Olay and and they have Chime. They have 3 supporters for some reason, you know. But it's weird that they have Huki there. Like Hanser makes sense, you know, and FBI I guess makes sense if they can't really find anyone better. But I think they're at least trying in that, like, okay, we have DeMonte, who's an up and coming talent. We have Closer, who is an up and coming talent who's really impressed people. You know, and then you have a few veterans to kind of help them out. You know, it's at least going for like kind of a budget approach to trying to develop some talent. You know, I can't hate that on them as much as like 100 Thieves or Dignitas or Immortals.
Oh no, but I think who he's the definition of nepotism in NA. He was a garbage mid.
Even more than Aframu?
Yes. Yeah, because Aframu has actually been good before. Hui has been good for one split. That is literally it. And he's been in NA long enough to get a residency and almost get it twice. That's how long he's been playing.
Man.
And he's been absolute garbage.
I forgot that you really hate Hui. So whenever you rant about him, it's hilarious.
He's garbage. He was a bad mid laner. He had one good split. He solo killed Jensen once.
I remember he was like really only good at Aurelion Soul. Like yeah, he's exactly. Like a wizard at Aurelion Soul. He's like a genius when it comes to that champion. But I remember it when they went to MSI and he was playing Azir, and he had just these really like question mark Azir shuffles that he would try to do, and it would always be like the wrong way, or he'd do it at a weird time, and everyone would just be like, "Why is Hui playing?"
Yeah, he's never been good. So yeah. It blows my mind that he is still on the team. At least Aframu has like qualities like quote unquote shot calling, which he's been awful for a while. He shouldn't be on a team either.
He's really gone downhill. I'm really surprised that he has yet to be like let go or like dropped to academy, considering the level of play that he's been offering for a couple of years now.
Yeah, but Hui is a person who should have been in a coaching role or out of the game by now, because sorry man, but he's never been good. But that's besides the point. So how do you think we can win at the Evil Genius
against Evil Geniuses?
That's the first game this weekend.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just asked because you went all robot on me for a little bit. I think that it's winnable. I don't think that there's any doubt that it's winnable. We've beaten them pretty well every time that we played them so far. I think that Reaper and the team really understands how Svenskeren plays. They've played with 3 out of the 5, I guess maybe 6 if you want to count Hui or whoever else has to replace a spot so Hruni can play. But like we understand how Sven, Zazel, and Kumo play. We've played with them intimately. So Reaper and the team knows how they play. Jizuke, we understand. Like his champion pool is weird, but we understand like the champions that he likes to play and does really well in. So if you put him on something that he's not exactly comfortable with, it's much more of an even match. And I think Sven and Vulcan, they can overwhelm Bang and Zazel. Bang has been playing a lot better than he has in the past. I will say, but I think that we can beat them. I don't think this is like I think it could be a challenge because they looked good last week. I want to see who they played. Oh, but they played Counter Logic Gaming and 100 Thieves. That's not even like a challenge.
No, it's not.
That's like
I mean,
anyone could look good playing
no one
against
is
them. Like
much of a challenge. There's like
no,
6 teams that are like, oh, you beat them, good job.
so they did look cohesive, but then again, it was literally against a couple of the two ranked like by people as the worst of the worst in NALCS. So that's not, you know, it makes playing against them really difficult. But I think that we're prepared. Honestly, just keep Jizuke and Svenskeren off of comfort picks. And really just do what you've been doing. You know, have Niski roam with Blabber, pressure your side lanes and make sure that they can get advantages and spread the gold around the team early, and then just do what you've always been doing. You know, I think that what's really great about our team is we have a game plan that we prepare, and then we execute on it, and we have an idea of how we need to play around that, and everyone has confidence in the plan. You know, it's not like anyone's unsure of what they need to do. So
Yeah, and I wonder if they throw a wild card out and play Huni that game, and maybe, I don't know, bench Bang or something. But
oh yeah,
I feel like they
like
shouldn't
maybe
though.
no, they really shouldn't against C9. I think you'd want to have like your best roster. Like I can't see them benching Jizuke in favor of Giyu.
No,
I
they
don't
wouldn't
know
do
how
that.
well Giyu plays, and that's just from I've never really watched their academy games much. But I think Jizuke is one of their best players. I don't think you bench him. If you were gonna bench anyone, it would be Bang in favor of. They don't format it well. This is why it's upsetting. Definitely,
No,
which
definitely, yeah.
I could see Definitely. You know, like Definitely's like he's not as skilled as Bang, but he's one of those players that like if you need just like a solid guy, you know, just like I need you to give us just this, you know, and just let the other team kind of like shoulder, you know, you playing weak side or whatever. Definitely can do it, you know. So I could see them maybe swapping Kuma out for Huni if they did it that way. But honestly, I would just go with Kumo in the top lane and just have the configuration that you're probably most comfortable with and most practiced.
Yeah, I agree, and I feel like there is a chance that Kumo is gonna come out of this the starting top laner after this year still, just
Yeah,
based on his
it'll be
contract and just the fact that he's developed so well.
yeah. I'm actually really proud that he, you know, even though he had like a rough split, he was able to he improved as it went on, and he looked really, you know, he looked a lot better in the playoffs. Um, it'll be really interesting to see. You know, I would have to imagine they put in Huni at some point. You know, like they have him. They want to see how he does with the rest of the roster. I would be surprised if they didn't utilize him at all for LCS.
Yeah, of course, but if Kumo doesn't get a starting spot after this year, shit is so messed up. But that's besides
Yeah,
the point. We are already kind of discussed the Golden Guardians game. Do you have anything else to add about that one?
no, not really. I think that, you know, Golden Guardians. Let's see, they beat Dignitas and they lost to Team Liquid. So that's about where you expect Golden Guardians to be at. And I said
Yeah.
already my piece on what I think about it.
Yeah. Here's a few fun facts after the first week. Cloud9 actually is the worst team in first blood percentage right now because we did not get first blood either game, but we do have 100% first tower, and we have the largest goal difference at 15 among every team in the league right now by 600 gold over Evil Geniuses. So, and then there's almost a 2,000 gold gap between second and third. So, kind of says a lot about where
Yeah,
the league is at the moment.
that's pretty skilled right there.
And one other fun fact, if my math is correct, Cloud9 is 4 wins behind TSM for the most wins in regular LCS season history,
Ooh,
going back
nice.
to season 3 of League of Legends and the first season of LCS. I believe that's correct.
Well, here's hoping they can at least lose one game, because they play Flag Quest this Saturday, and yeah, I'm really curious on how TSM is just going to kind of play as a whole, because they kind of did everything wrong during the offseason. I'm like, okay, we're gonna bring back Double Lift, even though he left as soon as there were problems last time, and he left Team Liquid as soon as there were problems that time. Okay, we're gonna bring back Parth as the coach, and that's totally not an issue. And they had that whole Dardex situation. So I'm keeping my eye on TSM, because this is literally probably a make or break split for them, because if they don't make playoffs or they don't make worlds, I could probably see Bjergsen maybe retiring, and maybe Doublelift too. Like, they've both been at it for a while. I could see at least maybe one of them retiring, just because it's like, you're really struggling now to have successful splits for a couple of years now. You need to maybe reevaluate what you're doing. I could really see it.
Yeah, I haven't put much thought into it, but it is interesting. It feels like he almost contemplated it this year, but then it also
He got that.
instead.
He got that ownership job as soon as his contract was. He was a free agent. I think that Reggie, and I think he was actually really close to. Yeah, but Reggie's like, I'll make you an owner. And Bjergsen's like, I can't say no to that.
Yeah, too much dough involved.
Yeah, that's just too much money. I think an idiot would, say no to that, because TSM actually makes a bunch of money through all of their. I think they own the Blitz esports stuff. Like they have a lot of like esports metrics apps and whatnot that they help like develop and run. So they actually make a really consistent amount of money through those services, and their esports arm really doesn't make that much. So they have like an actual business platform. So it's like, why would I not want to be part owner and get money from this?
Yeah, and make a ton of dough. So I don't blame him. But
yeah, I mean, you gotta get that cash.
Is there anything else that you want to add?
Not really. I think I'm pretty tuckered out.
All right, so the Friday night league matchups right now are CLG and Golden Guardians, then Immortals versus TSM. If I were you, I would not watch any of those games because they all sound absolutely awful. But Saturday we play Evil Geniuses at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and Sunday we have Golden Guardians at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Sunday is Father's Day, so tell your dad that you love him. I bought him. I bought a -$60 bottle of whiskey, so I hope
nice.
that's good enough.
Also, thanks for the reminder, because I always forget when Father's Day is.
Me too. I was lucky that he called me last week, or I wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's it. Until next week.
Later.
Bye.